I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Can't have someone in the Oval Office who doesn't understand the meaning of the word confidential or classified.
It's like really, you're going to work from home and you're going to make everyone else who made your car come work in the factory. You're going to make the people who make your food that gets delivered, that they can't work from home. The people that come fix your house, they can't work from home, but you can? Does that seem morally right?
This was not just extreme carelessness with classified material. No one will be above the law.
Now watch this drive.
Re-threads. Dear Mr. Zuckerberg, I write on behalf of X Corp as successor in interest to Twitter Inc., Twitter. Based on recent reports regarding you recently launched Threads app, Twitter has serious concerns that Meta Platforms, Meta, has engaged in systematic, willful, and unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets and other intellectual property. Over the past year, Meta has hired dozens of former Twitter employees. Twitter knows that these employees previously worked at Twitter, that these employees had and continue to have access to Twitter's trade secrets and other highly confidential information, that these employees owe ongoing obligations to Twitter, and that many of these employees have improperly retained Twitter documents and electronic devices. With that knowledge, Meta deliberately assigned these employees to develop, in a matter of months, Meta's copycat, quote, Threads app, with specific intent that they use Twitter's trade secrets and other intellectual property in order to accelerate the development of Meta's competing app, in violation of both state and federal law, as well as those employees' ongoing obligations to Twitter. Twitter intends to strictly enforce its intellectual property rights and demands that Meta take immediate steps to stop using any Twitter trade secrets or other highly confidential information. Twitter reserves all rights, including, but not limited to, the right to seek both civil remedies and injunctive relief without further notice to prevent any further retention, disclosure, or use of its intellectual property by Meta. Further, Meta is expressly prohibited from engaging in any crawling or scraping of Twitter's followers or following data. As set forth in Twitter's terms of service, crawling any Twitter services, including but not limited to any Twitter websites, SMS, APIs, email notifications, applications, buttons, widgets, ads, and commerce services, is permissible only if done in accordance with the provisions of the robots.txt file, available at https://twitter.com robots.txt.
Robots.txt,
the robots.txt file.
What article of the Constitution was that?
The robots.txt file specifically disallows crawling of Twitter's followers or following data. Scraping any Twitter services is expressly prohibited for any reason without Twitter's prior consent. Twitter reserves all rights, including but not limited to, the right to seek both civil remedies or injunctive relief without further notice. Please consider this letter a formal notice that Meta must preserve any documents that could be relevant to a dispute between Twitter, Meta, and or former Twitter employees who now work for Meta. That includes, but is not limited to, all documents related to the recruitment, hiring, and onboarding of these former Twitter employees, the development of Meta's competing Threads app, and any communication between these former Twitter employees and any agent, representative, or employee or Meta. Very truly yours, ass. It's Alex Spyro, CC, Elon Musk, Jennifer Newstead. This is the letter from Quinn Emanuel, trial lawyers in Silicon Valley.
Wait, really
skill
quick,
issue.
So the robots text thing, are they trying to get them on like copyright of like user generated tweet? Like what are they? I understand the IP
It's not
argument,
illegal
which is
to
still
scrape public information. That's what being
it's
public
like
information is.
What are you even talking about? Like
the idea that you can like
plus,
No.
you're not going to generate a platform by getting tweets.
Guys, the
gonna do.
robot.txt file is specifically in the Constitution and states that you cannot do this.
Really quick, though, let me take us back to April 18th, 2023, and this beautiful quote. Turns out you don't need all that many people to run Twitter.
Oh yeah,
Elon Musk,
I wonder why
interviewed
there's so
by
many
Tucker Carlson.
I wonder why there's so many former Twitter employees willing to work at
Turns out Elon Musk, you can create a Twitter competitor in a cave with a box of scraps.
Yeah,
So,
and a couple
in a matter of
billion
months.
dollars.
in a matter of months.
I mean, it's bullshit. They've worked on it for longer than that.
I'm going to continue on Randy's fun line here, and it's an Elon quote that also says, "I would like to apologize for firing these geniuses. Their immense talent will no doubt be of great use elsewhere." Turns out that's Facebook, Meta, for the new Threads app.
That seems to be true. Once again, the girls are fighting. I think that it's good that if you're an ex-Twitter employee...
It's healthy for democracy.
Even though there was obviously no example of a specific trade secret that was used inappropriately, if you are doing that, I think it's good, and I think that you should continue to do that. Because what did they steal? They stole
Nothing.
the idea of people put sentences on the internet and then other people can read those sentences, which is something that they're fucking up at Twitter. So I guess it could seem pretty novel, like, and really hard to do. I like the sentence near the top of the email that was like, oh, there's many former Twitter employees who we know used to work at Twitter.
For those listening, if you haven't caught on, this is a letter that Twitter, a lawyer...
with horrible prose, by the way,
sent to Mark Zuckerberg of Meta.
Yeah, I'm Team Zuck. Like I said, Zuck's our guy. He's a weird little goblin, and all billionaires, fuck him. But in this
heavy rate limiting went live because Meta was crawling Twitter.
That's not true.
Oh yeah.
That's a lie.
Wait. Did it say that? Did I miss that?
No, that's what somebody said.
Okay.
It actually kind of makes it funny.
No, rate limiting happened because Twitter accidentally DDoS themselves.
Yeah.
Because of the scraping of the robots.txt file.
Because they turned off the public access to tweets, which they did also turn back on like almost immediately.
Because Meta was scraping the robots.txt file.
When they turned off the public access, the code that allows you to embed it into other web pages and stuff, for whatever reason, the way that was set up was to just keep trying if the connection failed.
Yep, I'm trying.
And so every tweet that's embedded anywhere just simultaneously started attacking Twitter.
If you fall down,
it's like the little engine that could.
Yeah, if you fall down, just dust yourself off, get back up on that horse.
Like I said, there's no specific examples. There's no teeth to this at all. Obviously, everyone's stealing from everyone all the time.
Yeah, I did sign up though, and I do find it very nice how
you signed up for Threads.
Threads.
Yeah,
I mean you don't have to sign up.
The only controversy with that right now is that if you want to cancel Threads, you have to delete your Instagram account.
Which I could see. It's genius, really. It's such a simple concept, but Instagram has a couple billion users or whatever it is, and they make it seamless. You can port over your profile picture, you can port over your description, your link, all your friends, link them up, and you're done.
So Threads is not just a part of Instagram; it's kind of like a separate app.
It is a separate app, but it's
tied to Instagram
to the user and relationship infrastructure of Instagram.
Would they really need to delete their Instagram account in order to get rid of it? It seems kind of like a bad move. I mean, I'm sure they're going to separate that.
You can just ignore it, but really
just
quick,
make it private. Take all your info off of it.
I just changed the autofocus on my camera, so it's not going to focus. But literally, if you look at it, the heart button, the comment button, the retweet button. I mean, it's Twitter. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that Twitter copyrighted the heart.
They did. I'm not trying to validate their argument. But it's curious and it's fun.
Twitter used to be a star, and then Instagram came along with the heart, and then Twitter took the heart.
I did not know that fact. That's pretty fun.
I know you say that like that, but I would not be surprised if the icons that are on the Twitter site are custom and are copywritten. If you can do that, at least those in particular.
I'm sure they have
the budget. I would cut that immediately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I bet they're using Instagram's
or
icon set or some Meta icon set. Yeah, there's no real substantial difference, obviously, because a heart's a heart.
They also
a heart is a heart.
They have these little badges that they're putting on the Instagram profile that shows you like what number you were to join Threads, which is kind of like a cool little
Ooh, it's like a little gamifying.
Right, a little bit of gamifying. So if you go on somebody's
You're
Instagram
a serialized member.
Yeah, so what am I here? I was pretty late to the game.
I was 2 million something. 2 million.
Wow.
Oh, you both joined.
You were way in front of me.
Wow.
I snuck in
that
there.
Can't be.
I have not joined. I don't even have an Instagram account anymore. I deleted it a long time ago.
Is it the digits? It can't be just the digits, is it?
Yep.
So I'd be 72, almost 73 million.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's just.
Did you just join today?
Yeah, I just joined today.
Yeah, that makes sense because they hit 70 million in the first day.
72,888,210.
That's crazy. So if it does everything that Twitter does, but it's linked into your Instagram,
it's very hard to recreate the vibe of Twitter.
But it seems like it's going to do the same thing.
I think they could with the approach that they're doing.
Instagram is against people being mean to each other. Twitter
It's just
loves
a
it.
matter of time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like,
They've done a pretty good job of like.
are we going to see like a
policing it on
flow
Instagram.
of people leaving Twitter going to Threads? Like,
See,
I mean,
here's the
70
thing.
million people, and you said it's first day.
Yeah, here's the thing. As
That's
far as
crazy.
being mean, though, the real deep-rooted insecurities that you develop, especially in teenagers, that's Instagram, baby. So maybe it's
That
not
is
mean.
Instagram.
See, Twitter's all surface level mean. Instagram's gonna kill your soul.
Instagram's
which
like,
maybe
wow,
Threads
I'm
can carry
shit.
that on.
Everyone's looking at everyone else being like, I'm nothing. I'm
So
fucking.
Exactly.
Twitter
so
to
Threads
me-
can carry that thread. You compare yourself to others, to your peers. You realize that your life is shit. Your house looks like crap, and you get depressed.
So it's FOMO.
Yeah.
It's just
No, they actually Meta funded this research.
So this is real. You're not fucking
teenagers,
around.
especially teenage girls. Unfortunately,
I could see that. It's always the
mental,
teenage girls.
mental health issues due to
Yeah, for sure.
directly related to Instagram. And it's not like TikTok's doing any better. in
No,
that
I mean, but
situation,
like
yeah.
with all the influencers, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, the artifice
You know,
of it
and I
all,
could-
the
I could
glossy,
totally see-
clean
Yep,
perfectness of it
I could
all.
totally see that's like the new image.
That's
you know?
why I'm recording this podcast in a basement with a floor that's half torn up, because I'm showing everybody out here you can live like me and be successful.
Every time I get on one of these calls, I'm in a varying state of disarray. I sometimes have
You
it
got like sometimes
mostly
like
put together.
carry out order boxes half empty behind
Or
you.
Yeah.
he's finishing. He's
I
finishing.
promise you,
a-
everything,
a code push.
and that's
That he
always like
fucked up.
the stuff I am like fine with you seeing. There's a lot of stuff going on just outside the frame that is abhorrent, and so I want to peel back the curtain on that a little bit. Everyone,
All there is just cans of empty cans of beer. I'm just surrounded right now. I just
do you
kind
know
of
how-
sweep them just out of frame.
I have such good muscle memory for moving 15 White Claws from one desk in frame to a desk outside of frame 30 seconds before we start recording that
Exactly.
I'm going to try to get a sport made around a similar movement so I can
Do
go
it.
gold. I can get the gold.
Awesome.
So the one other thing about the Threads app, they have said that they are planning on supporting I forget what it's called, but the lower level activity pub or something. It's like a lower level social protocol that Mastodon uses. So they seem to be interested in kind of the more like Blue Sky or Mastodon angle of like a federated network of social media where you can take your profile, your information, and it might be hosted on one platform, but it's interoperable with other platforms. And that's very interesting.
I'm hearing good things about Blue Sky, actually.
What is the story with Blue Sky? I mean, I know
They fucked
it's,
something up, but I don't know
Jack
what.
Dorsey. I know, yeah, is it because it seemed like it was the new kid on the block.
Oh, they
and
messed
now
it up. They messed something up.
No one's talking about it anymore.
They did
I mean, they're all
something
over
like
there.
there's maybe they roll out some policy or something.
Well, I think the main issue with Blue Sky is it's invite only. And I think you have to be on there for a certain amount of time or something, and then you get invites to invite people. So it can't get flooded with 70 million users in a day because
Well, and it kind of
just
makes.
can't.
I mean, like that's obviously a growth hack, is the invite only shit. But
Yeah.
it did strike me as a little bit weird. Like it runs very counter to the whole
yeah, why would you
premise
want to
of
do
the
it that
thing.
way?
Well, the whole premise
Yeah,
of the thing is that
seamless.
it's supposed to be open.
Yeah, open and seamless to sign up. Like that's
Well,
why
maybe it's because they're trying to like make sure that people want to do something like that and they can handle the servers. Maybe that's how they get more money if they show investors that there is
Yeah,
a
but
need
I mean,
for it.
if it's founded
I
by
don't know.
the Twitter guys, billions of dollars.
I think you can request to get in, or the release day of the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I guess a couple weeks after that, there's been like nothing but just memes, you know, of the Zelda thing on there that kind of went viral for a while. I think the latest thing is there's a right-leaning talking head who isn't getting seen enough, so he was complaining about it, and basically people were like, don't follow him, and then his messages won't get pushed to the top or something like that. I don't know, it was really interesting, but victimhood again is basically what it came down to.
Okay, July 1st, Blue Sky paused new signups because of performance issues, and then it came back on the 3rd. So I think that's
So has it always been invite only, or did it become invite only at that point?
I think it started invite only. They're still talking about it like as a beta or whatever, which by the way, I'm getting real sick and tired of that. Everything's a beta all
Nothing's
the
staying
time.
in beta.
I don't
Fucking
think
stop
Google's
it.
doing that anymore.
What does it even fucking mean? It's basically a little label that you get to put on things and be like, it's shit, but it's fine because we said the right words.
No, actually, that's not true. I don't know the answer, but I
You
was
just know I'm
talking to.
wrong.
Remember, I do. There are reasons for it. I was talking to one of our vendors at the day job. who are releasing their own product that sucks. And I was asking like, hey, this thing's still in beta? And they're like, yeah, but we're looking to go live this year. But apparently there's some certain, I don't know if it's restrictions that when you go to like an actual release versus a beta, that it does matter. I don't remember what the details are. So I can look it up though.
The beta thing, like if they said that there's some like standard on what a beta is or an alpha is, they're full of shit. The SemBear is a real accepted thing, the major dot minor dot patch. You should conform with that because their product is developer facing. So if you make a breaking change to the API, then you need to do a major bump. And it's just a way to keep people on the same page about, can I likely safely update to this next version without it breaking my shit? There are cases, and people will call them like a beta or alpha or canary or experimental or unstable. All of that just means SemBear does not apply to this. We're playing it fast and loose. So if that's what they are trying to say, that's fine. But that is not what Google or Blue Sky being in beta or whatever. If they don't have anything that faces external developers, then they don't need to version anything, because at the end of the day, there's nobody interacting with that in a way that it can break, if that makes sense. Like that's just to communicate with other audiences quickly how big is this change. One other observation that I have is that most of social media is now everyone just talking about social media, which is kind of
that is true.
Neurotic.
Yeah,
I think, I was about to say, I'll know that Threads has made it when every other tweet is not about Threads, or every other thread is not about Threads, fucking whatever. But then you on Twitter and everyone's like, Twitter's bad. It's all fucked up. I'm going to Threads. It's like, well, what are we actually doing here? It becomes so circular? I almost said circle, but then I almost said circle jerk.
In other news, episode 13, we covered a Supreme Court case back in December 2022. You guys remember what the Supreme Court case was that we covered?
Yes, that was the made up website builder, website designer.
So there's new news on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she fucking...
That's exciting.
Did
she win?
The dark deal is done. I'm excited to discriminate against people now.
Didn't something new come out where the person that she was claiming is actually a straight old man?
You don't have to have standing to get a case in front of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, nobody actually pushed her on anything.
There was no person. She just claimed to...
What happened is she makes a website. She's a designer, and she makes this website, and she's on the website. She's like, by the way, I will not make websites for gay people. Then she filed a case, or specifically that one political action special interest conservative group in concert with her were like, okay, we're going to make this an issue and we're going to take it all the way to the top. What state was she from? Utah? One of those, it doesn't matter.
It's Colorado, because Colorado actually has an anti-discrimination law in the books. The whole Supreme Court case was surrounding whether states can have those types of laws that protect religious freedoms over the rights of LGBTQ. So if you were a business owner, blah, blah, blah. So Colorado has a law in the books that is now deemed unconstitutional, and other states do as well. Anti-discriminatory laws where you can't, like as a gay person enters your restaurant, you can't refuse service. Now you can.
But now you can. Which also means that you can now discriminate against race, right?
Yeah, because I guess it's any protected class.
Because it's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
So we're just going all the way back.
I don't know.
If you can use religion as your excuse, because it's really a religious protection. So it's buddying religious protections against equal rights protections, civil rights, and
because
I'm sure the Bible says some interesting things about minorities. And
because the religious thing is that whole angle is fascinating, because that you would think is like just an extension of like the First Amendment or whatever, where it's like
can we stop basing laws off of people's views of imaginary beings in the sky? Please.
Here's the thing, though.
Stop doing that.
If you look at the definition of religion as far as precedent, what it means to have religious belief or faith or anything, it's rooted in not the history of any sort of church or anything. It's rooted in having, they don't use the term unwavering, but I'm going to use it. Something along those lines, like an unwavering moral fortitude or something. So if you, as a leftist, believe that no one should ever work over 30 hours a week, and you believe that,
which is true,
wholeheartedly, and that is your moral standpoint,
that's your own religion,
that you could claim this. I mean, I'm just looking at it. I'm not a lawyer.
Religion.
I don't practice law or anything, but by the definition that I've been exposed to, why not? You could just claim as a leftist that you think people should be treated a certain way, or that
yeah,
so you could discriminate
as a leftist,
obviously as a leftist you could discriminate against, I don't know.
As a leftist, I think certain
Christians
members of the Supreme Court should be treated a certain way.
Exactly.
It's just crazy to me. I'm fine with people believing in what they want to believe in, but again, the first thing is like treat people with dignity, right?
This is the thing that's so insane. Like on the face of it, her rights, even perceived rights, because like that's what even our rights, our rights, things that we just all agree to. When we say right, do we just mean whatever you're protected by in whatever jurisdiction you live in? Nobody tried to encroach on her shit at all. Because for one, if you are a gay couple,
she made up the whole story. So
of course,
but
if you're a gay couple, why would you want to work with somebody like that? For one. But for another, nobody tried to work with her. And so it's just this blatant, I want to regress our understanding of how we should treat
I don't even
people.
think it's that, honestly. I think it's worse than that. I think it was all done as a publicity stunt and to get anti-gay folks to use her web service.
I think it's beyond that. I think it's even more nefarious.
You think it's like a puppet thing?
I think
she's not.
I think the
Alliance
Defending Freedom, ADF, the organization that Drew was just alluding to a few moments ago, needed a case. So they were like, oh, let's find somebody. Now that we have, a majority on SCOTUS, let's find somebody and let's make up a case. It doesn't have to exist, because even if it was found, which it has been found, that she didn't have standing, the Supreme Court can still make a statement such as, well, maybe the original case didn't have standing, but it's still an important issue that we need to talk about. These are constitutional issues. The individual case isn't as strong as the fact that we need to have a discussion and a debate.
How did the vote break?
About the legality, or the constitutionality, rather, of these laws.
How did it break? What was the score?
It was straight down the party line. Yeah, I forget the count, but
what a fucking
upsetting.
What a joke.
There was no crossovers. Like John Roberts didn't cross over any,
Massive
some of the, which really pissed people off, because Neil Gorsuch in the past made statements that would be counter to how he voted in this case.
Oh, it's almost like none of that shit matters. It is a fucking joke of an institution. The idea that it's supposed to be above politics or whatever, it's never been true, but especially now, just looking at it, like
6-3. So yeah,
fucking get rid of it. Just get that shit out of here. That's all I have to say.
6-3 is the conservative versus liberal.
They're basically not supposed to be conservative and liberal.
I know.
Here's my government. Here's government for me. Government for me is there's only one House of Representatives, and it's like jury duty. And 10,000 random citizens are selected anytime a decision needs to be made, and they just vote, and that's it. And you can't know who they are, and they can't talk about it. And if they do talk about it, they get killed, and that's it. And that's how you make all the decisions.
I would like to
it's not a joke.
On the getting killed.
No, it's fun and all, but I don't think we'd ever have abolished slavery if you did that.
I don't know if that's
we went to war over that. Lots of people got killed.
I kind of don't even think that's true, because I don't think that the thing that was holding up abolition was popular sentiment. It was at a time, but I do think that it just shifted. I don't think that the abolition of slavery was in the face of majority opinion.
So you had a lot of people that were abolitionists.
When did Gallup get invented?
You had a lot of people way after. You had a lot of people that were abolitionists straight up. You had a lot of people that were pro-slavery straight up. And you had probably about 40 to 50, maybe even higher % of people who were just uncaring and could be flipped either way. I'll even go further and more recent. You would not have integrated schools if you did that system, because there are still quote unquote liberals.
There's 10,000 people.
I'm not going to send my kids to that school kind of types.
There's 10,000 people, and
NIMBYism.
They have 49% voting power, and then I have 51% voting power.
Fixed it. You nailed it, dude. I like it. I support this system.
Would we have abolished slavery? Yes. Would we have integrated schools? Yes. Would you be allowed to make bullshit up about how you don't want to do stuff for gay people? No. Seems good to me.
We talk about this personally all the time, I think, and I just don't understand people like this. Just
they're
it doesn't do anything to you.
But
it just doesn't affect these people.
It doesn't.
At all.
But they're seeing especially the ADF, which is that alliance. They're seeing their way of life slipping away,
but it's not.
They can imagine. It's also an imagined way of life.
They could just keep their way of life.
It is an imagined way of life, but they're seeing what they perceive a certain religiosity slipping away, and they're clawing their way back as hard as they can. And they've won because they elected,
what's so interesting
Trump,
to me
they elected George W. They won. They got 6 out of 3.
these are all only going to be short-term gains. Because that's the thing. People will talk about, oh, it's going to be Handmaid's Tale or whatever. I understand the fear. Like, it's obviously very scary and fucked up, and it will have real negative consequences, all these things, especially with, decisions around abortion access and things like that. And that sucks. But from the perspective of that conservative movement, your numbers are not getting any better. And if anything, these extremely heavy-handed and transparently ideological and really kind of appalling moves that you're making, you are just going to be alienating more and more people. You're making it harder and harder to like publicly identify as a conservative, which is like the thing that all of like the conservatives are kind of like whining about. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, that's actually how it's always been. That's just what your ideology is. They're just saying the quiet part out loud. And because they're doing that, this is going to fuck them over. And which sucks ass, because now the Democrats don't have to fucking do anything.
Every month or 2 months or what have you, hear another story on the news about millennials killed casual dining. Millennials killed movie theaters.
Millennials killed gerrymandering. Millennials killed
well, what's going to happen is the power
millennials
of
killed
that
Shinzo
is,
Abe.
Okay, and the reason that these places are getting killed is because millennials are broke as shit and they can't afford to go out to eat or go to the movies.
They're not killing anything. Capitalism is killing it all.
The point is, okay, you, Miss Wedding web designer, you are on the wrong side. You
Nobody's
are not going
killing
to get the
anything.
volume.
Stuff just changes.
The point I'm making is that she'll probably succeed because she's going to get all the bigots to design all their websites and what have you. But
No, she's
as we
gonna go on
move
Fox. She's gonna be a contributor on
through
Fox
the
or whatever.
system, you are not going to be able to succeed against the moral zeitgeist. You're not going to be able to succeed against the cultural progression that we're moving. And right now, if you are anti-LGBTQ, you're in the past. No one of Drew's generation, and I hate generations, but no younger person gives two shits about two men kissing. They just don't care. It's not like an issue.
I did it 2 weeks ago.
And that's actually an interesting.
Not a joke.
You kind of touched on something, but like it's not even anti-gay with a lot of these people. It's anti-man on man.
Oh yeah.
These same people are fine and have been fine for years with two women, lesbians. They're fine with that. It's always the man on man thing.
Where do you think that
they're also fine with marrying young girls, or young children. Like they're fine with that too. 10-year-old people, they're fine with that.
Have you guys seen the picture where it's a transgender man? So obviously it is born as a woman, now is a man. And they show the picture and it's like, you want this person to go into the woman's bathroom, and all the fucking bigots, all the anti-trans people are like, fuck no, I'd fucking kill that motherfucker that go in the fucking woman's bathroom. It's like,
yeah, you would. Yeah, big guy.
You
So
understand
this person can't use any bathroom.
You understand
Right, of course,
that they don't want to use the fucking woman's bathroom.
Yeah.
Like they don't even understand the terms. What transgender men, they don't understand what that even means.
No, their brains totally break because they can't conceive of.
Which is, to your point,
of an
it's all
experience.
about
lineups.
it's all about
Even-
men transitioning to women because
any
then that
experience,
affects my
even
sports.
2 degrees removed from your own, you're just completely incapable of ingesting. You can't.
But no one would even care
You're
until you have
fucking
like
idiot.
a man transition to a woman and then swim against all your precious girls and beat them. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh fuck. You didn't care the other way.
No, so
around. You
obviously,
didn't care
like
about
for these
anything.
people, the solution is to like just not let there be trans. Like it's not about oh, you can do whatever you want in your own house, just don't rub it in my face. That's not what it is at all. You have a problem.
do you guys
with it existing?
Do you remember, it was probably like 15, 20 years ago, there was the first female in the NHL. I think she was a goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning or something like that.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
I'm sure there was still the people saying, fighting that and pissed off about it, but nowhere near as much as like,
No, of course not.
this. And it's very similar. Like nobody gives a shit. Like if a woman is, or even probably a transgender, man is in the sports, they care if it's the man, the transgender woman.
Yeah, suddenly it's unfair then.
Yeah, suddenly it's unfair. But like
Because like
such
obviously
bullshit.
the dude homophobia, that's a well-known thing. What do you think that is? Like, is it, because one theory I've heard is that it stems out of this, we have a culture that's still very patriarchal, and the fear is that as a man, it could even be conceivably possible for me to be dominated in a way that the culture emphasizes and elevates that idea, even very subtly, of that.
It doesn't really make sense,
most
though.
porn is that.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense in my view. Like the whole, like, because you're a man, like you can't be easily dominated thing, right? Like that
No, like I'm
because-
afraid of something being done to me that is supposed to be reserved for me to do to others.
Yeah, but that's the whole alpha male thing. Every male is supposedly out there to dominate and destroy every other male.
But you'll notice that a
person.
huge part of like that alpha male culture is heterosexuality. Like they're very closely coupled. It's not exclusively the same.
Mm-hmm.
You get to get in there and be like, no, but it's not like a sex thing. But man, he's so cool. He's so strong. He's so powerful. And I want to be him, but it's not sexual.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're more consumed about testosterone than
we did
than
a
woman,
we did a
which should be like
platonic-
if you actually
me and
consider
the
like
homie.
the
Well, no,
logic
because
behind it.
that's the gayest thing you can do is have sex with a woman. But the if because it's all the estrogen.
No,
But
I do think that the root of it though is the boys don't cry thing. Like you
Yeah.
just it's the root of it
it's
all.
just like feminine being like feminine in general. It's not the actual sexuality
yeah,
part
it's
of
the
it.
boys don't like pink. It's the boys don't cry. It's the boys don't play with those types of toys.
And is
it's
that
all that, and,
like
and
an
it exists.
insecurity?
It exists on the other side as well. But if you have a girl who likes blue, no one's going to say a fucking word. This actually brings me back to something that I've repeated quite often. I'm not sure if I've said it on the show before, but it's the same comparison to when you have a shitty male-focused movie, like say Transformers or G.I. Joe. Michael
Fuck
Bay,
you.
crappy
Those are
movies.
fantastic films.
Yeah, crappy movies versus a
Hasbro
movie
hits.
that is more targeted toward teenage girls, like say Twilight. And if you were going to break down like the criticism of those movies, the Twilight movie is like, hell, man, if you fucking like that, that's fucking hell, man. You know, and the Transformers like, yeah, it's stupid, it's lame, it has no substance, but yeah, you know, it's a fun like action. You know, it's a whole different kind of thing, even though both of them could potentially be terrible movies. And
Well,
I'm
one of
sorry for
them,
anyone
one of
who
them
likes
has
these movies.
a romantic vampire, and the other one.
Okay, doesn't
it's got
Transformers have a
robots.
romance? I mean, you could pick another
Nah,
movie that's more
I don't
male
think so.
focused.
Yeah,
that has
but
a
Randy,
romance, you know?
but the woman in that one,
Terminator. All right, Terminator, Reese and Sarah Connor, obviously couple up. It's a romance.
Yeah, it
No
is.
one would ever fucking call that a romance. You know,
No.
it's like, no, it's Schwarzenegger saying I'll be back and blowing up cops and stuff. It is rooted in the whole boys don't cry thing.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
there's this like clinging to masculinity. I feel like a lot of that has to do with just kind of doubling down on shit that doesn't matter anymore. We're no longer in a situation where the man brings in all of the money or whatever because, you know, women were, you know, at first because of capitalist reasons.
It goes back farther than that. On the timeline, it's the manly thing has just kind of gone away. Like, you no longer need men to reign over people. You don't need men to go into battle. You don't need men to protect your house anymore. You know,
I like all this stuff, and I think you guys are making valid points and everything as far as like the man being the top earner and the man being the protector of the family and all that stuff. I agree. But I think even if you had like a relationship with like, you know, one of these alpha guys and his wife was making more than him, it would be totally acceptable. Or maybe his kids
I think a lot of dudes.
all that stuff seems so much more important and so much more critical to the complaints and the criticism that you typically, what we're hashing out right now is the typical criticism. I don't think any of that stuff really actually matters. I think it all is rooted in fuck you can't like pink and you can't cry. Like
but
it's
I don't-
all
I don't
rooted in the
like-
most shallow
I just
bullshit.
don't like that. That might be correct, but like something about that just feels so.
It does feel wrong, but I mean, it just seems like what we're really
I
bucking
want there to be
against
like some deeper
is the most
Freudian.
like surface level, like in Italian families, if you were to kiss your uncle, you know, as a man, because it's just like
They do
more
that shit all the
acceptable in
time.
that culture, you know, or maybe your favorite color as a man is pink or something, or
I mean, purple was a color of royalty forever.
yeah, well, pink actually was a very popular men's color to wear prior to
Yeah.
the 50s. It's like
Yeah,
these things are so
are
recent.
heels. Remember
these
heels?
things
Hitler.
Oh yeah, and
Makeup?
then like wigs and all that other stuff. But what I mean is like it's so shallow that I don't even think the deep stuff matters to these people as much as just like these really surface level material bullshit things. And it's so depressing, but I think it's true.
But is
That
the
kind of
idea there
stuff.
that just some people just need there to be extremely clear, visible identifiers and signifiers,
Yeah.
and they need everything
Yeah.
to be two-dimensional because they
Yeah.
can't.
And I think
handle
that's why
any-
people buck against the whole transgenderism so much.
Yeah,
It's like
'cause
it's
it breaks
so
the-
surface level.
it
Like we're
breaks
gonna wear a dress, and that's why it was so
It makes them
acceptable.
uncomfortable
like,
that it exists. That there
yeah,
could be
to dress
acceptance.
and drag like as a 50s, you know, comedian, like a 60s comedian or whatever. Like I forget the gentleman's name, but you had manly comedians who would dress and drag and it'd be funny.
You think
know.
like Eddie Izzard?
I mean, you had Richard Pryor would dress and drag.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
anybody, like all these different people would dress and drag. You know, and like
Well, I mean, there's
they were
that
never
whole-
questioned.
There's the whole Japanese thing too. With
Yeah,
the
I mean,
kabuki or
Eddie
something like
Murphy wore heels in some of his comedy specials. heels and tight leather and stuff, and it was just never, it was fine. Look at Motley Crue. I mean, like, that was fine as long as, like, you follow the other rules or something. It was
as long as you were drinking beer, doing drugs, and smashing bitches.
Yeah.
No, you had to be smashing.
I'm getting really
hoes.
pissed off. It
just seems like it's so surface to me.
Yeah, let's move to the album on display.
No, hold on. I need you to share my pain. I am trying to, because I've heard that there was a study somewhere that said that in heterosexual households where the woman makes more money than the man, the divorce rate is, like, in a statistically significant way, it's higher. And
I've read that.
But it's still initiated by the woman, even more so.
Which should be illegal. Which we've discussed before. It should not be illegal. This ties into how Google is fucking unusable now. Everything is, oh, do you need a divorce letter? Check this article. Check out this inbound marketing article about 38% of women in households earn more than their husbands. Some research suggests that these couples have a higher divorce rate. One study shows that it increases the rate by up to 33%. Any link to that study? No, absolutely not. Next article, same fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But they say it's up to 50%. Based on what? What's the study? They're alluding to studies. They're telling me the studies exist. There's no source.
Yeah.
There's no goddamn source.
And even if that were
I'm not going
true,
to repeat it because I don't know what the
even
fuck
if that were true, the most
we
logical
need
thing to
control
point
for
at
that.
is,
We need
okay,
control for who initiated it.
If it is true that women initiate most divorces and it goes even higher up in those situations where they earn more, it's because they have mobility.
Right.
It's because
they're no
we've
longer
finally countered,
which is
years of the patriarchy.
Well,
that's kind of what I'm saying. The, like, stereotypically, like, man attributes, like the skills that are valued in, like, quote unquote, like the masculine dude space, those skills are becoming less and less valuable as society gets less and less thorny. The softer skills, those are increasing in value. I feel, and maybe I am overthinking it, but I feel like part of it is that they're, like, afraid of, like, the only things that they know how to do, their entire identity, which is built around not exhibiting, like, emotional skill, like not being an emotionally aware person or being accepting and caring and having empathy and all these types of things. Like, those are seen as negatives. It's very difficult to unlearn that. The value of having the stereotypically masculine traits, that's dropping quickly. So what do? You double down. You
dig your heels in.
Yeah, you dig your high heels in. And but that's
going back to the higher percentage, being initiated by women. I feel like a lot of that is probably also tied to men are probably statistically more unfaithful. They're probably more statistically to be abusive. They're probably more statistically to be drunk and useless, to a point. I'm just,
hey, first of all, those things don't necessarily go together. I know.
But the third one,
I'm an extremely high functioning. Yeah.
The third one is a reach, but you know what I'm saying.
No, they're definitely drunks
levels to it.
I'm just saying I didn't like that you conflated drunk with useless.
Yeah, you did.
They go together often, but
there's no gap.
No, but I mean like the ones that are constantly drunk all the time that really can't.
Okay, still reject. I still reject that argument.
Okay, we can reject it. That's fine. We'll take that one off the table. It's just the first two. But okay.
One way or
abusive,
another, like 3 months.
So abusive and or unfaithful, and I feel like especially over it's relatively recent, right? Like where women can now divorce. They don't have to stay with an abusive husband. They don't have to stay with someone who goes around and fucks all their friends. They don't have to they don't have to do any of that.
First of all, get new friends.
So.
Well,
after the divorce. First of all, get the divorce. Second of all, get a new friend group.
Well, of course, but.
No, there is.
I feel like that's probably a high reason to that. I'm sure there are the percentages of makes more money or doesn't make more money or whatever. I still think a lot of it comes down to those types of things.
This whole episode, this whole episode feels like to me because we do not have the bona fides to really be talking about this kind of stuff. It reminds me of that meme.
Sure, we do. We're white men.
Yeah,
I know everything.
As we've discussed, I can
talk to you about everything based in fact. That because of what's that thing that we talked about the other day?
Narcissism?
No, not that one. The other one. Dunning-Kruger, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending this to you.
While that goes, album on display.
So I already know what this is. Drew, do you want to describe the album on display? I seem to be the only one that ever describes.
Yeah, Drew it checks out.
Or is this like Drew checkout time?
It's got to be sometime because I can't stay checked in forever. It's a Hotel California situation over here for me. I think so. That's not the Eagles. We're not looking at the Eagles. We're looking at
it's not Hotel California, which is the name of the album.
Which appears to be a woman and a child, and the woman has a hollowed out coconut for a head, And
that's a good one. I like that. Hollowed out coconut.
And she's for whatever reason getting really close to doing a Hitler salute.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. She looks like she's waving to me.
Yeah.
That's the
This is definitely drawn, if I remember correctly. It's
an illustration.
Illustration with, and they're like.
If I remember correctly, so Carl's already got it.
I already know what it is.
This is
one of the most.
This is one of the most important indie rock albums of all time, especially of the '90s, but of all time, I would say.
If you went to a hotel, right, and you asked
in any particular state,
you asked for milk, and they gave you 2%. Not 1%, not whole milk. They're probably giving you that neutral number, right? Like that 2%, right?
This isn't gonna help.
You probably got there.
Listeners got it, but
you probably got there like from an aeroplane, and you flew over a sea, or something like
Aerosmith. that. Aerosmith is the album.
No.
Was this released before or after 9/11?
I just said the entire album.
This is 1998, so this is before 9/11.
Yep, the whole album and artist I just snuck in there.
If you had your average 90s indie rock listener do a top 10 list, I can guarantee you that this would be not only on that list, but probably number one most of the time.
I hated this band for a long time, and then I recently was reintroduced to this album by two people, my partner and you, actually. Probably over the span of
giving him the notes before the test. You're in the fucking
a 6 months. Like, so I would say it was like a period of 6 months where it was like, and like I became so addicted to this album for like so long. In fact, I just listened to it the other day.
Yeah, so
it's so good.
Released in '98 on Merge Records. Do you want to Google it, Drew, or do you want me to say it, or what do we do?
I don't want to.
Well, there's points involved, so I gotta say it if you can't guess it.
Points? When did we introduce a point system?
I didn't know there was point system.
There's always been points.
I'm hearing
what the fuck? I'm
winning.
What am I? I'm at least like 3 behind, right?
No, you're not even playing.
You're not even in the.
You're not even in the running. You're like -2.
No, I got rumors. I got Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac rumors. Yeah.
I got that one.
Get Fleetwood Mac rumors?
No, he didn't. I did. I ran into it.
No,
I said really quick.
Shut the fuck up. That's not true. And there's no way to verify it.
I've shown Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and both of you guys got that in pretty quick unison.
All right, I'm gonna say it. This is Neutral Milk Hotel.
I'm glad you broke your elbow.
And it is in an aeroplane over the sea.
In the aeroplane over the sea, yeah. Which is the title track. I mean, this is like the definition of cult following. This album has.
This is another one of those artists that I said looks kind of like I imagined him a certain way, and then my partner's like, no, he's actually this relatively normal sort of guy.
Yeah, Jeff Mangum. Yeah.
But like, I'm like, no, this guy is like got a guitar and he's sitting in a junkyard and he's probably really dirty. He's got
he's a bit of a hermit, but.
I've heard that.
Yeah, he disappeared for a while. After this album, he disappeared for a while, and he like made weird, spontaneous appearances, and then started doing a couple shows, and then he appeared on the Occupy Wall Street thing.
Yeah,
he's really he's on the left and everything, but he does political appearances, just him and the guitar, just like singing.
How many like indie bands are on the right? Probably more than I think, but I just feel like
I don't know. I mean, there's hardcore bands that are like on the right, like what Drew was just alluding to.
Yeah.
You've done a lot
technically
of
would be
independent. On this
the
episode.
thing about it's like when you say indie band, usually that doesn't just mean independent anymore.
I know.
It's like become a genre onto itself.
I read
that's
something.
Gonna be hard.
There's a TikTok. I don't read anymore. What the fuck is that? There's a TikTok that had a person talking about how the right, like everyone's like, why is the right so bad at comedy? And the reason is that the right, and so this is, I'm sure would be true of like music. If you're like the right, if you're on the right and like that's part of your thing and you're doing something else, artistic or whatever, it necessarily has to be about conservatism. Like it has to be, which almost always means
whole episode about that.
Right. Which is almost always not for anything, just against other shit. You can't really make good art because you're so preoccupied with using it just as another vehicle to air your grievances.
It's kind of like how all the art that they display is some form of the American eagle over the flag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
or I mean, even if it's not as explicitly like
guns or something.
American-centric, it's I hate look at Target. They've got like there was a right wing rapper or whatever that released a song about like Target grooming kids or whatever. It's like it's not. Yeah, nobody likes this because of the
Target's grooming kids now.
Their comedy isn't rooted in because they were selling the Pride stuff. Their comedy isn't rooted in jokes. Their comedy is rooted in the reaction that they're going to get. So it's like kind of Andy Kaufman-esque shock.
The imagined suffering of your political enemies.
If you didn't have anyone to react, you wouldn't have anybody at all. If you want way more thoughts than our simpleton Dunning-Kruger's on this one, check out Some More News.
Oh, is Fortnite
That is
overrated?
A podcast and a YouTube channel. And there's a episode called
Cody Johnson.
Why Conservative Comedy isn't funny or something along those lines. It's great stuff.
Maybe the TikTok stole from Cody Johnson. I've not been up to date on his stuff, but it's very good. But yeah, this whole episode is just this picture of these 3 children doing a podcast on a couch, and they look very serious, very a lot of very discerning. And the title is Fortnite Actually Overrated? And I just think that we had a lot of these vibes this episode.
We have these vibes every episode.
Episode 39.
But sometimes we're actually talking about stuff we know about.
We were talking about things that we know about.
Yeah, we started with threads, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah, threads.
Robots.txt.
I guess.
Yeah.
Carl is supposed to be like, this is unlistenable, this is crap, blah, blah, blah. You listen back.
Yeah, that's my line.
Drew
here's the deal. It was originally Drew's line, and I stole it.
Why do you need everybody to be in tight little boxes? I contain multitudes.
Because I see you guys, both of you and me included, are in boxes right now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when the YouTube video comes out, we will also be in boxes.
I actually purposely make Drew the smallest box.
That's a smart move.
You feel good?
Yeah. No, it's
so episode 39,
you're too powerful.
We have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@WeDoCrime. We have a voicemail that Drew is going to port over to the new website, WeDoCrime.com/voicemail.
Is that a URL?
And that's the URL. Yeah, that is the IRL.
Do I need URL. A www for that?
Nope.
You don't even need a www.
Do I need HTTP?
Nope. You can just type it right in. Any browser nowadays.
Do we support HTTP?
We do. We do have an SSL.
And we have a SIL?
Mm-hmm. We have a SIL.
A SIL that supports HTTP?
It's going to get like a cert for a SIL.
Cert just works.
This bit is unlistenable.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Drew, that you're depressed about how terrible we are. Maybe we'll get better.
I'm not depressed at all.
All right.
We had like 100 listeners.
I just need more White Claws.
On our last episode.
Yeah, just get some more White Claw. Enjoy your weekends. Next episode, we should have a guest, which, yeah.
Did you guys hear cigarettes are coming back into vogue?
And we love you.
Good night.
Or good day. I mean, it doesn't matter what time you're listening to this.
You're only saying that because it's daytime right now. It's not usually daytime when we do this.
You wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. No one.
I think we could just. We should extend this rambling.
Now watch this drive.
So we have to protect our genius.
We're not selling anybody's data. Now watch this drive.
I have a son. He's 10 years old. He has computers. He is so good with these computers.
We're not selling anybody's data.